What situation is Introvert's nightmare? Story 1. Your social butterfly friend begs you to go to a party with him. You go there and he wanders off to talk to literally everyone there while you follow him like a puppy. Answer. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was vacationing in Colorado and found out that a good friend of mine was in Pueblo, so I drove down to meet him. My thought was we'd go grab a burger somewhere, but he said instead to meet him at the home of a friend of his. He'd show up within half an hour, who I had never met, and we'd drive out to a campground to hang out with a couple of his friends' college friends, who he had never met. I wanted to say, dude, you've known me for like 25 years. Does any of that seem like something I'd be comfortable with? It all turned out fine, of course, but it was very stressful for me. We used to do that sort of thing all the time, though, and I was somewhat less uncomfortable with it then. But now I'm 40 and socializing just keeps getting harder and harder. Story 2. My college has put me in a shared room with a stranger who doesn't speak English. There is nowhere for me to go and recharge my social battery. I am losing my mind. Don't get me wrong, I like my roommate. She seems real sweet, but by God, I need a minute to myself. Answer. Random assignment was also one of my biggest struggles freshman year. I couldn't recharge and constantly felt like I had to step on eggshells in my dorm room because we were very different people and she did not like me very much. I was incredibly stressed and drained, and it got to the point where I was hiding under the covers and not leaving. So when she did leave, I could have a moment to myself at the expense of going to club practice, hanging out with the friends I was starting to have, and even eating meals. Story 3. After parties. You mean there's more stuff to do after the stuff we planned on doing? I only have so much energy to deal with people, and it was already used up. Answer. I think this is the best answer so far. Introverted doesn't mean you can't talk to people or be social, it just drains your tank faster. A lot of these comments are more just social anxiety answers, which not all introverts have. There are plenty of introverts who work with people and strangers and do just fine at a lot of the things that people are saying are worst nightmares. Story 4. When your boss unexpectedly wants you to present something or talk about something in the moment. I need like a couple days to prepare myself for any speaking engagement, lol. Answer. I used to be this way until the day I arrived at a meeting thoroughly pissed off about something. I was itching to get it off my chest, and just as I came to a boiling point, my supervisor mentioned me and my nerves went out the window. I spilled everything I had to say, and everyone in the meeting nodded and spoke up in agreement. The moral of the story is that when you're in a meeting, everyone else there has no idea what they're doing, and everyone who seems to have it together is basically faking it and is completely full of shoot. Once you do that, you can't help but feel like the most competent person in the room. I'm a supervisor now at a much better company. Sky's the limit once you realize that you're not inferior to the idiots you work with. Story 5. As a child, my worst nightmare was when my parents got visitors, and I'm stuck upstairs hungry and thirsty because I can't access the kitchen. Answer. This reminds me of a story that I probably should use a throwaway to share, but fudge it. I was painfully shy as a kid and dealt with social anxiety throughout my youth. The social anxiety is basically gone now that I'm in my 30s, but definitely still an introvert. When I was around 8 or 9, I had a sleepover at a friend's house. When I woke up in the morning, my friend wasn't in the room. He was out in the living room with his parents and some other adults they had over. I could hear them all chatting. I had to pee so bad, but couldn't get myself to wander out of the room and walk through the living room to the nearest bathroom, so I just ended up peeing right in the middle of his room. When his mom finally came to the room, I blamed it on the cat. In retrospect, there is no way a cat would have produced that much urine, and it would have been incredibly out of character for the cat to not use his litter box. But his mom went along with it and was just like, "Wow, this is a lot for the cat. He must have been trapped in the room, etc." She was just being sweet and didn't want me to feel bad or weird. I believed that she fell for the lie at the time. Then one day when the story popped into my head randomly, I realized there was zero chance that Sweet Mom believed the cat did it. Story 6. Here's mine, meeting a coworker that you don't know very well on the train, locking eyes and having to engage in conversation for the next 30-40 minutes. All you want to do is read your book, but there's no way out and you decide to put up a brave front. They're not thrilled to see you because you already have a reputation for being kind of weird. The more you talk, the weirder they think you are. You can see it in their eyes. Already you can hear the office gossip in your head. Oh my God, guess who I was stuck on the train with? Nightmare fuel. Work from home was a blessing in this regard. Answer: I made a horrible mistake in this situation once. Like you, I was the weird coworker and generally antisocial, so when I spotted a coworker on the bus to work with me, I had no idea how to handle the situation. I panic froze and was practically shaking with dread. My brilliant solution was to pretend I didn't see them, except we got off the bus at the exact same spot to go to work together. You would think I'd face reality and say hello at that point, but no. I walked ahead of them into work, continuing to act like I didn't see them. Part of me really believed it was a plausible excuse. But then once we got into work together, I realized I fudge up and spent the rest of the day being extremely nice to her, going out of my way to make conversation in a generally out-of-character way. She eventually realized that I was just extremely awkward, and we became friends over time. A couple of my other coworkers still laugh at me about this to this day. Story 7. Networking events. Edit. Wow, y'all. Thanks for all the upvotes, replies, and awards. Didn't expect this, but good to know I haven't suffered alone here. Answer: I avoid them like the plague. It is literally the worst. When I leave, I need like several hours of alone time to recuperate. The only thing that's worse is a networking event in a profession that you're unfamiliar with. One time, I was an engineer working in financial technology. I don't know anything about finance, and I don't give a fudge about it either. So my boss sends me to this financial tech conference, and everyone's using language I cannot comprehend. Even worse, they put a name tag on me with my company's name, so I felt like I had to represent them. One of my worst days, TBH. Story 8. Traveling to an event, like a big conference where you'll be with coworkers the entire time for 2 days, and you share a hotel room with 2 of them, literally no time away to yourself. And you arrive home Sunday night, and you work on Monday at 7:30. Story 9. A total surprise party for me at my place with everyone and their significant other, so I'm essentially the 49th wheel at my own party. Eliminate me now. Edit. I exaggerated the number, but I have been a 9th wheel at a couple's party. I did not know it was going to be all couples, but glad to know this is so relatable. Answer. This happened to me and was a seminal event in my young, introverted life. When I was about to turn 14 years old, my parents asked if I wanted to have a party to celebrate. I declined, was planning to hang out with a couple of friends and walk downtown to the comic book place and Taco Bell. So they threw me a party anyway and invited all of their friends and tons of my siblings' friends and people from the neighborhood and made it a surprise party. They surprised me by having my friends take me to a movie, and when we got home, there were 1 million people. So I turned right back around and walked to the comic book store. Story 10. Want to hang out this Saturday? Sure. Saturday arrives 10 minutes before hangout time. Oh, also I invited my friend you have never met before to join us. Story 11. Something we have in the Netherlands that is called hospitairavonden. Basically, students here share a house like a normal family house, where each person rents a room and you share a living space, kitchen and bathroom together. And to get one of those rooms, the rest of the house usually has to pick you as their new roommate. So they organize these evenings where you go to the house and you meet the people living there, show the room, and they get the chance to get an impression of you and possibly pick you to rent the room. It's the worst because you constantly have to show them how much fun you are and how great you are, and it is literally my nightmare, and one of the reasons I never rented a student room, lol. Story 12. An ad hoc talent show with co-workers. As someone who's maybe not a full introvert but has a limit on my extrovertedness, this happened to me and I basically said, no thanks. Story 13. From personal experience, I will say, introducing myself. I'm really shy in person. Social situations drain me, and I simply prefer my own company. So name is Paloma, dove in English, and growing up I'd always get made fun of BC of my name. I'd get bird calls pointed at me, bread and rice thrown at me, overall just shaming me for something I didn't choose. I didn't choose that name. I couldn't understand why my name was so triggering to these people. Today, I love my name. It's a symbol of peace. I find it to such a beautiful name and it represents me very well. So fudge them kids. Story 14. Remember, introversion's social anxiety. While the two can, of course, mix, introverts are people who charge their batteries when they're alone and have me time, and get drained faster when in a group of people. You can be a social introvert. I think what people in the comments are assuming is that introverts are people who dislike social interaction or public events. That's not necessarily true. Answer. Me reading all these comments going, I don't mind that, that's okay. Actually love that one. Very few things here I'd say I dislike. Egg. I love public speaking, and I'm very good at it. I like networking events. I'll easily talk to strangers. I do dislike unexpected drop-ins, and I won't answer the phone if I don't know who it is. I'm introverted because I need time alone. Time alone is how I refresh, how I center myself, and get back to being me after being on. I draw my energy from being alone rather than being surrounded by others. While I do like being social, I couldn't cope with event after event, constantly being surrounded by people, with no break for time to myself. Story 15. A party where all people do is stand around and talk. For hours. I just want to be in bed with a book, thanks. Story 16. Being asked to do some group activity on such short notice and being put on the spot without having a legitimate reason for not wanting to do it, aside from I just don't feel like it. Story 17. A large wedding. Being the center of attention for an entire day sounds fudge terrible, especially with a lot of family members I don't particularly care for or haven't seen in years and having to pretend like I'm happy to see them and, oh my gosh, it's been so long. No, thank you. Story 18. I went to a wedding with my GF, and she was the only person I knew at the wedding. She also was standing up in the wedding, so during the ceremony and a good chunk of the reception, I had to find a place to sit with strangers and talk to no one. It was just awful. Answer. I feel this. I went to a wedding with a guy I was dating, didn't know anyone until I was seated at a table with someone who recognized me, a teacher from my old middle school. I got so tipsy and ended up talking to her all night because my boyfriend disappeared talking and dancing with other people. Nightmare. Honestly, thinking back, I am more mad at the guy that just ditched me, knowing that everyone were complete strangers. Story 19. I am introverted but have good social skills, and these comments are purgatory. I am wincing at all of them. Thanks, I dislike it. Also, karaoke night. Story 20. Being at a social event and swarmed by a bunch of people who think introverts are zoo animals who need special attention. Are you okay? Do you need anything? Story 21. Your parents force you to go to a summer camp because they loved going to camp when they were kids. It's one where you're not allowed a phone, sleep in a cabin with 12 other kids, plus 2 of the most peppy, overly upbeat, overbearing camp counselors ever to exist. It's day 1 of a week-long camp. The morning starts with a 6 a.m. wake-up shout from Counselor A, who leads the cabin in a morning song before you're led to the communal showers. After everyone is dressed, it's time for breakfast at the mess hall, where the camp leader has everyone sing the camp motto song before food is served. Food is everything you dislike in particular. The day is then filled with a barrage of group activities. Rock wall, group crafts, a talent show, swimming in a gross pond, in a bathing suit you dislike that makes you feel self-conscious. More camp songs, a second talent show, why? Overly competitive sports, etc. Finally, after singing for the 100th time, dinner is over and people return to their cabins to sleep. Your counselors, however, decide before bedtime everyone needs to sit in a circle and share with the group about their lives. This share circle is going to happen every night of camp. One final obstacle each day to the minor reprieve that is lights out. It's been 6 days of this level of constant, overhyped interaction. It's lights out after the last day. You've done it. You survived. You go to sleep, knowing tomorrow you get to go home. At 6 a.m., you are startled awake by your camp counselor. You're filled with a sense of déjà vu and dread. It dawns on you that this is day 1 of camp all over again. You're stuck in a time loop Groundhog's Day style. An eternity of summer camp on repeat. An eternity in hell. Story 22. Showing up at a party where you are supposed to meet a friend and they are late, or your friend disappears and talks with someone else and you're stuck alone to fend for yourself. Story 23. Going to a party event with a friend and immediately finding yourself alone amidst people you don't know. Dear God. Story 24. Having to form a group on a school project, knowing darn well you're going to get the lion's share of work and partial credit. Story 25. Never liked parties or partying. It just feels like fake fun. I'm supposed to have fun, right? But I feel more out of place. Corporate events, etc., pretty much the same thing in my view, but with a layer of cringe added. Story 26. Small talk. If I'm going to give you my attention and take myself out of my inner world, you'd better have something stimulating to talk about. Story 27. I dislike being the center of attention, so I specifically request my birthday be removed from the monthly calendars that are distributed company-wide. My former department director looked my birthday up anyway. He threw a surprise birthday party with cake, and the entire department sang to me. I pushed through it, but dislike being surrounded by a bunch of people that I didn't care for. Anyway, my manager saw how uncomfortable I was after I went back to my desk, and he's sort of a jokester, so he told the director I was Jehovah's Witness, not true, and that he could get in trouble for not respecting my religious beliefs. The next year, the director still got a cake for me, but there was no celebration. The cake was placed in a common area, and everyone just grabbed a slice at their leisure without having to make inane small talk or sing awkwardly to me. Story 28. When the person you've been forced into meaningless small talk with just straight up does not read your subtle cues that you prefer to be left the fudge alone. Story 29. Being told to smile more. Sorry, don't have the energy to give a fake smile. I only smile when happy. Story 30. I think you are mistaking being an introvert with having social anxiety or being shy. An introvert isn't scared to talk to people or interact with them. He just wants to reduce the amount of people he interacts with. Story 31. Projects in which we need to go and talk to random people and get their opinion on something. I just made up imaginary people and wrote random opinions. Story 32. Comments like, "Look who finally came out of their room," or, "Oh wow, you can talk," when I finally step a bit out of my comfort zone. Story 33. Vacation cruise. Being trapped for a week or more on a vessel with 4,000 people, tipsy, loud, obnoxious, and that is just their kids. Story 34. Introverted cop here. Testifying in court sucks, especially when you're doing it solo and don't have a prosecutor just asking you questions. Solo is like 90 of all testimony, though. Story 35. Your spouse dying. Good luck dealing with that on your own. Dealing with it by adding a bunch of social interactions that you're not used to is so hard too, but probably inevitable. After the helping social interactions, acting like things are okay or normal is brutally exhausting. No way to refill the tank anymore, just perennially empty. It sucks so hard. Story 36. For me, the nightmare thought is prison or military life, or anything with barracks-style living accommodations. I'm not shy or socially anxious. Being an introvert, to me, means I just don't have a large supply of social fuel in my tank. I can be charming and friendly in conversation. I'm not afraid to give a speech in front of a group. My problem is that I just can't do these things all day. After I run out of energy, I need to go and find a quiet place to be by myself, away from people in order to get my energy back. The thought of living in a large room with many other people and no chance to ever be alone give me the heebie-jeebies. Extroverted people gain energy from social situations. Introverted people lose energy. That's the key difference. In fact, I enjoy being friendly and outgoing with people. I just can't do it for very long. Once my tank runs dry, I'm out. I'm leaving. I'll be under that tree over there for a while. No, I don't want company. No, I'm not mad. I'm just done. See you tomorrow. Story 37. In a school assembly. Teacher, can we all have a minute of silence? Introvert's stomach. Barbara. Story 38. When the bar is about to close and I am so emotionally drained and ready to go home, then someone says, "Hey, let's go to the bar around the corner that's open till dawn." Story 39. Branching out into the world of online dating, meeting someone IRL, going through the anxiety of a first date, hanging out for a while and then getting ghosted by said person when you thought you had a true connection. All a true story, BTW. If anyone wants to read the whole mess, it's up on my profile, LMAO. Story 40. Most of these answers are more relevant to someone who has social anxiety. Introverts are not inherently socially awkward, but find social interactions draining rather than invigorating. Story 41. Hear me out. School presentations while you have a boner and everybody knows it, so you are more nervous, you start to sweat, and you faint. Story 42. Sitting home alone, wishing you could enjoy the social things other people do, but knowing if you went, you'd be even more miserable. Story 43. Introverted does not mean shy or asocial. Some of the most confident and social people are introverted. They just get drained being that way for long. Story 44. Going out to dinner with a large group of people you know but don't really want to be around. Add bonus points if those people naturally have zero similar interests. E.g., they like football, drinking, sports, concerts. You like games, electronics, science, basically cool shoot. They don't care about your interests, and you don't care for theirs. Story 45. Doesn't happen to me nowadays, but Mom going to pick up an extra item while the cashier is scanning our items. I could swear they go faster as soon as she goes to find that one item. Story 46. I'm an introvert, but I don't think I have the social anxieties that many people seem to be listing. My worst nightmare is get-togethers, especially with large families, the holidays especially, because it's so draining. The kind where you can't break away, there's pictures, socializing, dinner, socializing, and if you try to sneak off for a recharge or nap, you seem rude. Story 47. Unexpected contact always gets me, even from people I like and would like to get in touch more often. I dislike that I can tell that makes no sense, and I still can't do anything about it. Story 48. When we are talking about something that we love, and the other person don't give a shoot or is always interrupting and gets mad when we are quiet again. Story 49. Being at overcrowded place. I was once in the main city of my country, and man, there were tons of people everywhere. Story 50. Say your name, Major, and one interesting fact about yourself. And going either first or last perfects this nightmare. Also having an exotic name. Story 51. My personal worst, I'm an introvert, but really good at socializing. Thank you bartending and teaching and growing up with many siblings. I don't have social anxiety, just an introvert, so I want my alone time. Living in a dorm sucked, you are never alone. But at least my roommates over those years understood, had their own studies, were gone to class when I was in the room, etc. Know the worst. Basic training. Literally never alone living in a bay of 30 people. I had gone on less sleep during college, 4-hour naps between 20 credits and working overnight security, but basic had me so drained. All the time. The other worst, I married a textbook extrovert. Story 52. Let's go around the room, say your name and 3 fun facts about yourself. How about I give you 3 fun jabs to the cerebellum instead? Story 53. Boss turns to you at large group meeting you weren't prepared to speak at and says, "What do you think?" Story 54. I'm about to have to go to my neighbor's for dinner and it's eating me alive. Thanks a lot, wife. Why can't people just leave me alone? Story 55. Without any preparation or even a heads up beforehand, suddenly being called to talk in front of a large group of people. Being at a party where you basically don't know anyone. A friend suddenly dragging you along to some big event with lots of people noirs, even though you plan to just relax and recharge at home that day. Specifically for me, and not always, but after a busy day at work with lots of people and noise around,